to you about is a couple of programs that I have used myself called the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Basically, what I use is the CDs and audio books, things of that nature. And this has been very helpful to me. It covers a whole lot of principles here. For instance, one of the principles is being proactive. Another principle is putting first things first. Another principle might be think, win. Another principle might be sharpening the saw, which is yourself. So the principle, I'm only going to deal with one principle today, which is being proactive. And what do I mean by that? When you're being proactive, okay, you're going to see effective results in everything that you do in your life. Now, I'm going to give you 2 examples. Ineffective, that means you are a product of your own circumstances. You allow your circumstances to determine the outcome of everything that you do in life. Now, being effective, that means that you are a product of the choices and decisions that you make in your everyday life. Those are the 2 differences. And that principle is based upon I am free to choose, and I am responsible for the choices that I make. See, it's about seeing, doing, and getting what you want out of life. And how are we going to go about doing this? We're going to go about doing it this way. We're going to get the results that come from this. And what are those results going to be? For one, it's going to be greater initiative in everything that you're doing in life. And another thing, it's going to be you becoming a more of a creative force in your life or someone else's life by the example that you're setting. Okay? And this is going to lead to more self-awareness of who you are and what you want to be in your everyday life. Whether you're doing a job search or personal development for yourself or just moving to another level to where you want to be at in life. So we're going to deal with the habit of being proactive. Okay. Now, as we go into being proactive, there's certain things in our life. Okay. We have the stimulus, which is our emotions. Okay. And then we have the response to that. But as we become centered in what we want to achieve and accomplish, that is the freedom to choose. Okay? The choice to choose what I want to do in order to get ahead. Never say you don't have choices. You do. You have choices to better your life. You have choices to make self-improvement. You always have a choice. Now, if you don't make a decision will be made for you, forced upon you. And then during that time, it might be too late to do anything about the decision that you did not make, but the decision that you allow to happen to you. Okay? Now, just now, as I'm talking to you guys, I want you to think about a situation in your life where you constantly responded in a reactive way. Okay? Any type of situation, hold that thought where you reacted in a negative way to a situation that was happening into your life. Hold on to that thought. And as we go into that, as we go further, there is a certain type of language. It is a language. We all know what language is because we communicate through language, whether it's English, Spanish, or another language. The interpretation of ourselves and the answers that we're trying to get out in the world might be concerning ourselves or other everyday activities. So there are 4 human qualities that we all have, that we're endowed with. One is self-awareness. The other is imagination. And including that is our consciousness, along with independent will. Okay? Now with these 4 attributes, lead to us making choices that lead to us being more free to achieve our goals. Okay? Now, as I mentioned the language, I'm going back to the language again. Now, there's a language. There's a language of proactivity, the language of reactivity. So let's deal with the language of proactivity. And what I mean by that, the language of proactivity, okay? I will. I can choose a different approach. I control my feelings. The language of proactivity. Now let's go into the language of reactivity, which is I can't. There's nothing we can do. He or she makes me so mad. That is the activity of reactivity. Okay? So we see the differences. The choice is yours because you have a freedom of choice of making a decision or have a decision made for you by someone else or indecision within yourself. Now, as we get into that, we're going to focus. We're going to focus on these languages. I just explained the 2 to you. So, as we focus on the proactivity, the proactive language, which is when people focus on things, right, they can influence. At the same time, what happens? You expand your knowledge and experience, and you build true worthiness, which leads to what? Self-worthiness. This is from proactive focus, okay? And as a result, what happens? Your circle, you all have a circle. Your circle influence increases. The circle, okay? This is reactive focus. Now I'm going to get into, that was a proactive focus. Now I'm going to get into a reactive focus. Reactive focus, people they focus on the things they cannot control. So when you do that, that causes you to have less energy and less time to spend on the things that can influence you, because you're being reactive, not proactive. And consequently, what happens then? Your circle of influence shrinks. The circle of influence shrinks as you go into reactive mode. Okay? Now, with this being said, all of us have in us a circle of influence and a circle of concern. Okay? And as we go into these 2 areas here, okay? Now, as you go into these 2 areas here, the question is what you want to become. Okay? On this side of yourself, which is your past. A lot of us have a past we might not be proud of, or some of us might be. But we might be more focused on the negativity in our past. And what I mean by that, wishing, I could have, I should have, I could have did this, I could have did that. Oh, I shouldn't have made that decision. Question ourselves all the time. So that is a negative pattern. Over here, we're so thinking about jumping into the future. We're so worried about jumping into the future, so concerned with the future, we're overlooking something. We're overlooking something. We're overlooking the center because we're off balance. We're too far in the past or we're too far in the future. We're off balance. We're not center. So what we want to do, we want to get center. And what I mean by setting center, what I mean by that is getting rid of all negative thinking, all negative activities. You're becoming proactive. You're transforming into a transition person. Okay? And what I'm going to explain that to you. And what I mean by a transition person, that means any one of us who breaks away from unhealthy, harmful, abusive, or unfortunate learned behaviors. And we all have that. It starts from childhood when we were a baby. Different behaviors we picked up in our families, when we get out in the world. Peer pressure, adult pressure, okay? Going with this crowd, that crowd. Not making a choice for ourselves. Even in marriages, some people lean upon their mate so much, not really making a decision in case something happens to their mates, he or she, not knowing how to handle a budget or financial crisis, things of that nature. Not being centered. Okay? We want to continue to be centered. And as we replace negative behavior with positive behavior, this